Hey folks, what is up? Today I want to talk about TF2 versus Overwatch in a very serious matter because everywhere in the comment sections I just see people rip the other fan base another asshole. So...
Oh my god, it's a copy of TF2, what the fuck?
No, it's a copy of Overwatch. Overwatch is a superior game.
Yes, as we all know, TF2 copied Overwatch from the past in the future. Gabe Newell Time Machine.
Yes, Blizzard was playing with this for ages.
Let's start off with character comparisons. Sniper versus Widowmaker and Hanzo. Okay, Widowmaker. It's pretty obvious that unscoped it's an SMG, and when you scope in, it's a sniper rifle. It even charges before you can do max damage headshots.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like part of what Overwatch did was that they were trying to one-up TF2 on some things, so they sort of just streamlined the process for Sniper. It's like as soon as you scope in, it's a sniper rifle. As soon as you scope out, it's all of a sudden an SMG.
Yeah, SMG/assault rifles, the feeling you get from it. But the one thing that really separates Overwatch is the skill system. I mean, if you would be in manpower and give the sniper a hookshot, they would be nearly identical. With the hookshots, they would just be alike. Take away 2 moves from Widowmaker, her E and her Q, and they'd be identical. But that is what separates it, the ultimates and skill system.
Yeah, I guess the equivalent in TF2 would just be like the sniper with the hookshot and like Lamau box for the wall hacks.
Yeah.
Which this game is surprisingly accepting of just like hacks. Like we don't even want you to hack. You earn the hacks. You just play the game and that's how you get hacks.
Yeah, Soldier 76 has aimbot.
Yeah, but who can we even compare him to? He's pretty unique.
Yeah, that's more of like a Call of Duty adaptation than anything in TF2.
I was gonna say Counter-Strike Global Offensive more.
But
Yeah,
then
kinda.
again, if we really put it into perspective, is anybody with a sniper rifle a rip-off from TF2? I mean, come on. Now all of a sudden that Overwatch is out, just because you share a weapon in common, you are automatically a rip-off. It's like YouTube.
Have you guys seen American Sniper? Total rip-off of TF2.
That's exactly the point. So if I am gonna use a minigun in Call of Duty, am I automatically the heavy from TF2?
No, you're Zarya from Overwatch. Wait, fuck.
So yes, this whole character comparison thing, in some cases I think it is justified. Like, what's his face? The dwarf that builds sentries? That one is, I gotta say, that one is painfully obvious that it is.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt and say they're not copying TF2, but I don't know any other games that sort of have sentries. I mean, that's just me. Like, I don't play any other
I do,
games
however,
with
want to
sentries.
point out that Paladins has a bearded dwarf that builds sentries.
Oh.
What?
I did not know that. Wow, so there's this kind of double rip-off thing going on here?
I don't know about
Ripping off,
but definitely heavily inspired.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a rip-off. I mean, Overwatch has been in development for quite a while by now.
It's not even released yet. That's the main thing.
Yeah, how long has Overwatch even been in development in the first place?
Oh, I would say very easily over 2 years.
But okay, Hanzo versus the sniper. Okay, it's the huntsman with bonuses, also wall hacks and a scatter
Well, no,
shot.
it's. I feel like it's the huntsman, but just like way more bullshit.
See,
yeah.
Well, I would-
as much as I want to agree with the idea that they just split the huntsman and the sniper into 2 characters. It's not the case, because I found out recently that Genji, the ninja cyborg character, and Hanzo were, during development, they were 1 character. So it was more like a ninja samurai that had both a bow and arrow and also a sword. And what they did was, over time, they decided to split those 2 characters into both Genji and Hanzo. So what would you even call Genji? Would you say Genji's like a mix Spy and Scout? Because that's what I feel.
I would say Genji is more of a mixture between Raiden from Metal Gear Rising.
But that's not the comparison we're making here, Trav.
No, in TF2, in TF2 universe, I wouldn't
that's-
find any comparison with Genji. Not even
I
with
feel like
Spy.
it's a Spy and Scout mixture. Just because there's a lot of like movement elements, double jump and being able to access places that most other characters of that like weight and I guess hitbox size and mobility whatever are able to access. So that's where I feel like the Scout bit comes in, and there's the technical side such as being able to deflect things, get in, and you know, I feel like it's just a nice little mix because it's both melee based and I guess movement based, if you get what I mean.
I sort of see
it's
where
like
you're
the demo
going.
night.
But where would the Spy come in then?
I guess the Spy just comes in and being able to shut down something that it otherwise would, I guess, totally obliterate. For example, Genji is a very, very hard counter to Bastion that everyone seems to have a problem with. Bastion in this sense is, I guess, the sentry gun, and Genji is the sapper.
I think this is a bit of a stretch, to be honest. I can see where you're sort of going, but no, there are better counters against Bastion that I've experienced. Like a Reaper that teleports out of sight into another out of sight area to just backstab Bastion. I think it's more effective.
I recently saw a GIF of a compilation of people tweeting at the Overwatch Twitter saying, Bastion's OP, whatever, please do something. And it was basically a copy-paste tweet response saying, you know, Overwatch is a class-changing based game. In other words, if you need to change classes to adapt, that's what you do. And some of the classes they suggested were Genji, Hanzo, I believe Widowmaker, and someone else I can't quite remember. But the point still stands that Genji is one of those ones that kept popping up because you can basically get Bastion to look right at you, you press the E button and they've killed themselves.
I wouldn't, but
I didn't play much Genji.
I did some pretty cool reflect kills.
I did it personally myself. Genji's a very personal favorite of mine apart from
Same. But back to the comparisons. So I think we can all agree that Hanzo and the Huntsman Sniper is okay. He uses a bow and arrow, but so does Tomb Raider, and so does Ivy from Orcs Must Die, and so do other characters from Battleborn.
You say Tomb Raider like, oh, Metroid is my favorite character. She doesn't afraid of anything.
Okay, Lara Croft then, if you want to nitpick.
I do want to nitpick. That's what I do.
But yes, just because it's a class shooter, come on. You cannot just say, just because it's a class shooter and it has weapons in common, it's a complete ripoff. I can see where some points are a ripoff. Like, the comparisons between the dwarf building sentries like the engineer does, I can totally see that is considered a ripoff.
I feel like the major thing that separates it and doesn't solidify that though is the lack of something in which to upgrade. Like, it doesn't take metal. It's just a matter of hits and repairing. And the only thing separating you from building another turret, either once it goes down or just building one to replace the one you just made, is just a cooldown on the ability. Like, that's it.
Yeah, but now you pick up metal to drop armor for your allies. So the metal mechanic is still in there, but it's just, well, it's just not for sentries.
But you don't pick up ammo and transfer. It's something that only that Torbjorn can see and pick up. It's the same thing that applies with Mercy and Reaper, where Reaper can see the death orbs and get HP back, and Mercy can see teammates that she can revive.
I also see those death orbs when I'm playing, and I'm not Reaper.
Yeah,
really? You shouldn't.
I see them all the time.
Yeah, me
I see them
too.
all around.
When
I think
a
it's
Reaper
if there's
doesn't
a Reaper
pick
in
him
the
up.
game.
When a Reaper doesn't pick him up to heal himself, then you can see him. But if he's hurt, he's gonna automatically
If there's no
pick
Reaper
him
in the
up.
game though, they don't show up. Yeah, if there's no Reaper though, they don't show up.
Okay, so that's the comparison for Torbjorn. Or the dwarf that builds sentries. Jesus Christ, that name.
What about Farah? She's pretty much... At first, I thought Farah wouldn't be much of a copy of Soldier, but I feel like it turned out to actually be a huge copy of Soldier. Not just like a like a straight up carbon copy, but pretty similar.
The biggest thing that I feel that makes it a copy or not is how it plays. And despite the fact that Farah has a rocket launcher, is air-based, you know, well, I guess not air-based, but very mobile in terms of being able to move around. The issue I have with Farah is it handles very, very differently to Soldier. There's no, you know, there's no mass rocket jumping. There's no... I guess the projectile speed is different. The radius of the explosion is different. And trying to go in with a Soldier mindset, like from TF2, it's not a good time because the radius is incredibly small. So it's kind of like a slower direct hit, if anything.
Exactly what I was thinking.
Well, I kind of feel like the Farah's rocket launcher honestly is how the rocket launcher should be in TF2. Like, that's something I think TF2 could take a tip from Overwatch. Like, I like it. I feel like you're a lot more rewarded for really hitting those really crispy, dank, you know, rockets. And but like I feel like it's Farah plays pretty similar to like a competitive Soldier, and that your job is to just control the high ground, spam people out with damage, get these dank like air shots and whatever.
The other problem I have with Farah is I guess there's the rocket jumping problem. One, it causes a lot of damage and you don't get very far. Two, the only other way to do it is with your
Shift skill, the backpack.
Wait,
yeah.
I mean actually
not the
rocket
backpack.
jumping? Like,
Yeah, I mean, actually, with the concussion grenade, you can get like a little bit of distance and momentum with the jetpack. But you can only do that like once every 10 seconds. It's a bit like daunting.
But still, what is the deal with that shot? The knockback is so minor. Is it even worth the trouble?
No, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. What you do is you look behind you and use it. If not that, then you launch someone off a cliff.
Yeah, I did that a few times. It was pretty funny.
It's good flying above a Reinhardt with your large leap, and then launching one of those concussion blasts behind him,
Or
when he's got his shield
punish
out.
a long-range Widowmaker.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, I've pissed so many Widowmakers off.
You know, Widowmaker is a pretty
like-
good counter to Farah when she's just calmly floating in the air in a very straight line.
Widowmaker is a pretty decent counter to a lot of things. Like, Sniper in this game is actually pretty strong. I feel like Sniper in TF2, it takes a bit more skill because you really have to focus on headshots in order to really be effective. Widowmaker is a bit more, I don't know, easy to use, user-friendly.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, you can
The
still
fact that
pretty
you
much
can just
body
stay scoped
shots.
in.
Body
You can,
shots are
and
so high
you don't
damage.
necessarily need to charge up the shot either. You can just rapid click.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll do less, but if you get a headshot on a class that's got a bit extra HP, you get that headshot with a fully charged shot, and then you just hit them again, like, straight away, and they're gone.
Yep. Okay, back to comparisons. Let's see. Okay, we Junkrat and Demoman. Oh boy.
Oh my god.
Is this one even subtle? Sticky jumping with the
it's
shift
not.
skill. The grenade launcher is so delightful to reload. I gotta say.
It's something.
Oh.
I mean, the similarities are incredible to the point where I don't normally use a sticky bomb launcher in TF2, but once I went back to TF2 after the Overwatch beta, I found myself using the sticky jumper to try and emulate the same thing.
Yeah, I gotta say, it is really enjoyable jumping from Demoman to Junkrat, because while they do have things in common, the timing of the grenades on Junkrat is just so awkward to me. You shoot them, and they take like 2 to
enjoy
3
that.
seconds to explode? Like, okay, it's cool if you want to bounce them, but it feels a little too long for me.
You can get
Well,
direct
like,
pipes.
I felt like it was pretty tough to get direct pipes for me, at least. I can get the timing down.
Well,
I had no problem with it, man.
I don't want to
What about
say
you guys?
I don't want to say if Overwatch feels more floaty, but it does. I mean, gravity is very forgiving in Overwatch.
That's another issue as well. I'm not sure how the movement in terms of like strafing and whatnot in.
I don't think,
Because
I think they had like air strafing.
Yeah, it does. I did some Junkrat jumps and there is strafing.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Like-
I don't know about it. Like, if you were in general going to be strafing, maybe I just don't remember because it's been a little bit since I played.
Oh, I want it back. But yeah, yes, outside of the ultimate and once again the E skill like Widowmaker, there is really not much difference. And the E skill in general, what the hell were they thinking about giving this guy this bear trap? It is so anti-fun to me.
I love it. I love it so much I can't describe. There's nothing more satisfying than catching either a Mercy or a Tracer in that trap just because they blink back into it. Or it's incredible. A Reinhardt charges at you, you put that trap down, they're stuck. It's incredible.
Oh wow, and then just have your shift bomb on it as well. And then, kill.
See, the weird thing was I never really used my my concussive mine as a weapon. I mean, I did, but not as much. I mostly used it for jumping and getting around.
I used it on the bear trap a couple of times. It's actually a pretty good explosive trap, if you will. If you're confident in the trap, that is.
There's an achievement in the game for knocking someone into the trap with the mine.
Wow, that went as planned, I'm guessing.
I feel like they are trying to compete with TF2, and I feel like they are. Like, I felt like Overwatch is trying to outdo TF2 in a lot of ways. Like, they were just trying to take something that TF2 did and just make it a little bit better. Like, I think that's why they sort of gave Junkrat the trap, so to sort of take blast damage away from like sticky jumping, if you know what I mean.
I think they did the trap on purpose because so we can separate them from the demo man, because if he didn't have that, he would just be a demo man, because like, he does like 3 explosives and 1 skill to separate them from explosives.
Just like doing these little things to like separate them.
How do you want to discuss the Riptire though? That's something.
Well, I'm trying to keep ultimates out of this as much as possible, since the concept of ultimates is not in TF2. But we'll get to that in the end.
You know, you know what else TF2 doesn't have? 12-year-old Japanese girls.
She's 19 and she's Korean.
Oh, you keep telling yourself that.
I looked on the wiki. It's real.
She's 19, and you need to be 18 to enter StarCraft tournaments. She's a StarCraft tournament world champion.
Oh, don't you just love it when Blizzard sucks their own balls?
Hey man, there were Hearthstone screens in the animated cinematics.
There were even
weren't those video games like in the arcade, like based on some
StarCraft
yeah. They were based on StarCraft, but looked like Metal Slug and stuff. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I like those touches. It's very nice.
There's a lot of small details in Overwatch, almost similar to TF2, that make it enjoyable.
Okay,
that's a comparison.
Next comparison: Mei versus the Pyro.
Mei is much worse. Oh,
it is like the top. It is like the Pyro, but it's a
easier.
Yes, it's easier, and dear God, why does she have a self heal?
While Pyro has an see, the thing about Mei is, while Pyro has an air blast to, I suppose, negate movement and whatnot, she has the freezing effect, which functions very, very differently. However, air blast doesn't like 100% stop you from moving. Air blast just like knocks you a different way. If you're frozen, you can't move. You're susceptible to literally everything around you, be it a headshot from her icicle, be it a Reinhardt charging. It's too much power for one girl.
Yes. And especially her shift skill, where she just pops into an icicle, becomes immune to all damage, and heals herself for a chunk of health. It is broken.
I feel like the healing should be there for her own benefit, the way it keeps players wanting to use that. But I think the main function should be to shield yourself from something like a D.Va self-destruct, and also teammates, because teammates can hide behind you during that, and they can protect themselves.
I would morely use that Q skill, which builds up a giant icicle wall, to be honest. which I have seen a lot of players use on the spawn door just to be an
Those
asshole.
can be damaged though.
Yeah, but
I've done that with a friend. We did 2 of us, so
Yeah,
we
if-
just constantly kept our teammates in. It was fun.
if you shoot the ice wall, you can even see the hit marker saying you're doing damage. But the
Oh, yeah,
damage
there's
with
blood
low
marks.
classes, like for example, Hanzo, I was shooting the ice wall, and it took me 6 arrows to get 1 pillar down, and then the rest shattered 1 second later. So you might as well not even bother with some classes.
There's a lot of experimentation that needs to go in. Either make the walls weaker, or it's there's a lot to improve on.
Yeah, I think that each character needs to have their own damage scaling on the ice wall, because now it seems like every pillar has 600 health. But instead of that, I think every class should have their own specific damage output on those, customized.
I thought Tracer was
Speaking
fine.
of changes, though, oh my god, Winston needs a bit of a change to his ult. They nerfed it in one of the developer patches or whatever it was called, and it's absolutely trash now. As a Winston, I went to take on a D.Va, 1v1, and D.Va killed the old Winston.
Oh, but I killed old Winston as Bastion within 2 seconds.
It's ridiculous. I feel like the damage output should be more and the knockback should be just a little bit less.
Yeah, but also, back to May versus Pyro. Jesus Christ, talk about sidetracked. I think...
Hey, don't complain, it's good content.
Yeah, it is. It's a serious discussion. We may even do more of this, but May versus Pyro, where one is slight crowd control that can deny Ubers, deny healing, deny capping. The other is just complete control shutdown. You will not fire your weapons. You will not do everything. Yes. I mean, Jesus, man. May's shutdown potential on an entire team
ridiculous.
It is just stupid. And why does she have to have an icicle shooter as well? Why?
I feel like the icicle shooter is a decent idea, but they need to make it less effective on frozen people.
Yeah, I mean, you are shielded by ice. Why should you take full damage of everything? It's a bit too overpowered. Either nerf the icicle damage or nerf the damage you take while being frozen. Tracer versus Scout. Christ, the movement on Tracer. Oh.
Tracer's got some movement on it, but it's not as... I don't know where to formulate the words for this, but I feel like, in a way, Reaper is more like the Scout than Tracer is.
Is it because he uses shotguns?
No, I think it's got more to do with the fact that you need to time the shots really well and aim them, whereas Tracer sort of like... Well, she's got... Okay, think of it this way. Tracer has 40 shots, right? In both of her guns.
Yeah.
Before she has to reload. That's 20 per gun. When you left click once, it shoots 2. So they both shoot at once, right? And if you hold down the left mouse, they empty the clip really quickly. Like, I'm talking less than 3 seconds. I'd say maybe even 2. Not even. I would say 1.5. But like with Tracer, it's nothing about accuracy. Tracer does have the rewind ability, and that's what makes her unique. Scout, on the other hand, is about denial and I guess a mobility. That's all they share, the mobility.
I feel like...
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say that the only closest thing to, I guess, jumping in terms of mobility, because Scout can double jump, is that Tracer can blink a few times in midair to get to, like, for example, a rooftop a bit away. But, like, that's it. There's nothing else to compare in terms of weapons, abilities. It's basically just a little bit of movement, and that's because of her ability, not just because of her natural movement.
So if Tracer and Genji would have a baby, it's the Scout.
I would... Well, I think... Ooh, don't do that.
No.
Don't do that.
Okay, let's just ignore that indeed. But yeah, everybody seems to be comparing Tracer to the Scout sheerly out of mobility, body type. Both of them are very slim.
I was going to say personality also.
Energetic and sometimes annoying.
I was also about to say cocky, but I realized that Tracer's not so much cocky as she is energetic.
Yeah, she's more energetic and talking fast, like the Scout does.
Yeah. Scout's a douche.
Okay, then talking about all the skills except the ultimate, of course. Yeah, Tracer is not as much of the scout as you would imagine. Oh, and Rapid left.
She really isn't. I went straight into Tracer thinking like, okay, it'll be a bit like Scout. It was my first thoughts, like within maybe 10 seconds, is like, this is not Scout.
Yeah, I can sort of see where that's going. I didn't play too much of Tracer because when I was playing with her, she seemed very too glass cannon-like for me, and it didn't get the feeling of rewind down because every time I wanted to press it, I was 0.1 second too late. So
You just got to time it a little bit better. Might have been
Yeah.
the server location.
But Tracer is also not really my playstyle, so when that comes into mind...
I had a decent go with everybody, just to get like a good gauge, and there were many comparisons I did make and didn't make. For example, obviously, I definitely made a connection with Junkrat and Demo Man. Tracer and Scout, nah, did not occur at all.
So I feel like what they did was they sort of separated the, like, if you could think of it from Blizzard's point of view, they sort of separated the Scouts, like, movement aspects and just gameplay mechanics centered around movement, and gave that to Tracer, and then sort of gave the sort of, like, meat-shotting, you know, Scout DM to the Reaper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reaper relies on, like, for example, think of it this way. So picture this, right? You've got a Reinhardt who's on low HP, and I'm saying this deliberately, and he's being healed by a Mercy, pocketed even. As Reaper, you teleport behind them, and you meat shot the Mercy for a lot of damage, even killing the Mercy, and even possibly getting that Reinhardt down. When I say it like this, you could interject all those character names I said and replace Reaper with Scout, Medic with Mercy, and Reinhardt with either a Soldier or Heavy.
Yeah, I can sort of see where that goes.
Almost no different to flanking as it is teleporting behind them and taking out the healer.
So many aspects put into different characters where you only discover them when you deeply think about them.
Like I said, I think they're trying to sort of one-up TF2 and sort of, like, I don't know, split a lot of differences.
Yeah, even in the game modes you can sort of see where it's going, but we'll get to that in a bit. So, another comparison.
I found Ooh.
Mercy versus Medic.
Very... okay, yeah, without a doubt.
It is painfully obvious that a Medi-Beam is...
I would say that it's almost the most comparable pair.
No. NG and Trollborn, or whatever his name is.
Really?
Yes.
I see the thing about her Medigun beam is, well, she's also one of the characters I've played a lot of in terms of support. Obviously, I'm a medic main, so that makes sense. But it transferred over really well because left click, there is no overheal, nor is there any other different Medigun. However, using left click, you heal your teammates back up. Right click, on the other hand, is what would serve pretty much as the Kritzkrieg of this thing.
Yeah,
so,
perma-crits. It's like a steroid you can permanently put into someone.
It is, but in saying that, you need to turn that off in return for healing. So you need to make a split decision between, you know, either patching up your patient or giving them a bit of a buff.
I always heal them up, and when they're full health, I give them a steroid. As long as there's no one else's to heal.
Pocketing is a lot more difficult in Overwatch than it is in TF2 because of the lack of overheal.
Yeah, well, usually when I'm in the front line and I see people are hurt, I just heal everybody up to maximum health, and I see who has the most potential.
As you should.
And I gotta say,
because that's what a medic does.
Deploying the steroid on Hanzo is so strong. Jesus Christ, I've seen him one-shot entire classes with body shots of arrows.
Are you sure they were body shots, though?
I am very sure, because even in the play of the game that I saw of that, he shot them in the leg, in the chest, or no, I think one was a headshot. But you gotta imagine, those were the weaker classes with 200 or lower health.
A Bastion on defense in turret mode with the Mercy's right click is very, very scary.
Please no.
And with a Reinhardt shield
I-
in front of it as well, isn't there?
It's very difficult to see through a Reinhardt shield turret mode.
Yes. Well, but one thing I do gotta say about Bastion before I seriously go to Blizzard headquarters and demand a ban from the game.
Bastion's not that bad though.
I can
it's
sort of
not
see where
the
you are
worst thing
going.
ever, but
But this one
Bastion
point,
has counters. May at this point does not.
this one point I gotta say about Bastions, when I'm playing the game and I'm support and nobody is able to take out that Bastion, I want to be able to say, okay, I will switch to someone who will take this bitch out. But nobody else wants to go
You
support.
can.
Yeah, you can, but then there's no healer, there's no
not
support, so
many
everybody
people
else is
are-
fucked.
That's the key point in communication then, because you can just say like, either via microphone or typing, hey, can someone take my role for a minute while I take action?
Yeah, I mean, maybe there should be a voice comm for that, because it's necessary. Without a doubt.
It encourages using communication in terms of microphone. But if people don't have that option, and if it's too fast-paced to type, then I agree with you. I think there should be a voice command.
Let's see. Okay, that's Mercy versus Medic. Reaper versus Spy.
Completely disagree.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think Overwatch really has a spy, to be honest. At first I thought Reaper would kind of be a spy, but not really. I mean, I
I'm
can't.
still adamant on thinking that Genji is the closest thing.
Well, since they're a one-shot melee character would not really work in Overwatch, because the sheer speed of the game would make it very difficult for such a class to really shine, and it would make an overpowered player that is really good with it just too painful to deal with.
To be fair, there isn't really a melee class at all, apart if you don't include Reinhardt.
That does make him a melee class, though.
I mean, apart from that, he's not seen as that sort of character. He's seen as a protective tank, whereas Spy is... Well, I mean, TF2, everyone has, a primary, a secondary, and a melee. Whereas in this, everyone's just got a primary, possibly a secondary, and a melee button.
Yeah, but I like Overwatch's system probably better when it comes to melee. I mean, you just press a button and bam, you do a melee hit. Instead of, you gotta switch to the weapon, wait for the weapon to be done deploying, and then hit your opponent.
When watching some of the introduction trailers for like Junkrat and Lucio, there's a big emphasis on meleeing after you shoot. And I think at first I was like, why do that? Because melee doesn't do much. But then I realized that you can actually melee independent of like reload and shooting. So you got to combine it basically. It's why I see a lot of Roadhogs after they pull someone in and shoot them, they melee straight away because there's no delay. I thought like, oh, this is useless. You'd have to wait. But as it turns out, no, you don't.
It is kind of like the equal in a MOBA of an auto attack reset. Whereas you in a MOBA...
That makes little sense to me.
Okay, so in a MOBA, you have like your auto attacks that you do when you right click on something, and then when you deploy a skill, it immediately attacks no matter how long it's been ago that you did your auto attack. Okay, so Reaper versus Spy. Both of you don't agree on this one?
I feel like the Spy is just a uniquely TF2 kind of class. Like I don't think there's anything that's exactly like it.
The thing is, there's a chance that may get added because they're gonna add more heroes to Overwatch. From what I hear, they're playtesting 2 new heroes to add.
I would love to playtest those and give my opinions on them and like this, but there will be problems. I mean, there is already a bunch of imbalance going on with characters at the moment. Seeing more characters added to this is just gonna make it more difficult to counter and not gonna make you be able to play the characters that you would like. Which in one way...
The thing about that is, it's... At first I agreed with you, like, not now, like, I had the same viewpoint at one point, but then I thought about it, and honestly, it's not such a bad thing, because the similar to TF2's weapon system, where we may get a new weapon. We're not going to get a new class, but we get new weapons, and that changes stuff up. For example, Phlogistinator, there's new strategies involved. People learn to balance around that. Valve adds fixes to it, etc. But in this case, we're not adding weapons, we're adding heroes. You get what I mean?
Yes.
So, honestly, you say like, oh, how are we gonna balance new heroes? But it's basically like a new weapon.
Yeah, I could see that. Although I think the balances just have to be a bit more dynamic, because it's like you're introducing a group of weapons, not just one weapon. But yeah, I could see that. I worry about there being so many, because whenever you just have a lot of different elements in a game, it just becomes really hard to balance. Like even in TF2, they're still like struggling with it.
Okay,
We haven't gotten a new weapon.
my final character comparison that may be a stretch to some, but try to think about this one a little bit.
Oh boy.
Heavy versus Diva.
Diva?
A
I
rat?
expected you to say Bastion.
No. Where Bastion has to sit down and fire as a minigun. She moves around slowly and rapid fires in succession in front of her. But can you sort of see, while in robot suit, where that is going?
At first I was like, what the fuck are you smoking? But then when you explained it the way you did, I can see that a little bit.
Yeah,
I could see that.
it's a slow-moving tank that rapid fires. Yeah, that's sort of what the heavy is to me. Slow-moving.
To be fair though,
fires.
Bastion can turn into a tank.
But he fires explosives. He fires explosives. That's different. Come on, now you're not even trying.
I feel like in Bastion mode, he's a lot more like the soldier. Honestly, that's more like the actual. TF2
Yeah,
soldier,
I didn't even think about that, but yeah, you're completely right.
He's just like.
At least we're not the scooters outside.
I'm in doubt which is worse. Okay, so those were the character comparisons that I thought were maybe a possibility. But now for game modes. King of the Hill, Capture Point, and Payload. Whereas I find King of the Hill and Capture Point to be pretty default and speaking for itself, I don't see too many games with a payload thing. Maybe I haven't played enough games for that, but what's you guys' opinion on this?
I have something to say about it, but I'm not entirely sure if it's like correct. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but if you on the enemy team, like who's trying to stop the cart, and I'll keep calling it a cart because of TF2. Thanks, Valve. If you as the enemy team stand on that, that moves backwards, right? It doesn't move back independently.
I did see it move back while not being touched after a while. So it does happen, but not when you touch it.
Are you? I'm not sure, because I think I saw it move back when you touched it, like kind of like opposite pushing, like a tug of war almost.
I don't know. I've been standing on top of the cart. I've even see enemy Bastion stand on top of it, but nothing really happened.
I've seen Bastions in Sentry mode on top of the cart. Jesus Christ!
That should
as it's moving backwards.
That should be fixed.
Like they shouldn't be able to do that.
Bastions in general should not be able to be in Sentry mode on the cart.
Just go Genji. Let's go Genji. Everything will be fine. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it will.
Shut up. It's true though.
But okay, King of the Hill and Capture Point. I don't really think that this should be too much put into TF2's shoes, since I see some other shooters do it as well. Like I've played a little bit of Call of Duty.
The interesting thing with Payload is, for the most part, actually no, for all of them, you have to cap a point before you can start pushing them.
Yeah, I find that to be a more interesting way to play Payload, to be honest, and I think if TF2 would implement this, we would be having a lot less issues with spawn camping, on Payload at least. But okay, you guys, your final verdict over TF2 versus Overwatch. Is it comparable or a clean straight ripoff? As a neutral point, no fanboy of both.
Honestly,
Rapid, you want to go first?
yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like it is heavily inspired from TF2, and that they changed some things, they tweaked some things, they moved some stuff around, and they wanted to like sort of outdo TF2 in some respects. But I think it's an inspired work, definitely.
Okay, inspired works are nothing new in the gaming world, so I don't see why people would rip this one a new asshole just for being inspired. But I guess that's just what the TF2 community is doing. Like, oh, our game is being threatened by something. What do you do when you get threatened? You go in defense mode and you bash the living fuck out of the game that's doing so. So I think it's just the TF2 community being defensive a lot. Not being able to take it that people will leave for Overwatch.
That's deep.
It's human psychology. Pretty easy.
Rapid said what I was going to say, really. I think it's heavily inspired and is comparable. There's no way that it's, like, purposely ripping off without breaking any copyright laws. There's no way. No way in hell.
But then my own final point that I want to make on this is, okay, the game is there, but it doesn't take away that it is not free to play. So most people most people cannot even afford the game, even if they want to play it. So if anything, for some people, it's not even a choice.
You have to remember, TF2's been out for many, many years, and wasn't free to play for over half of those years.
Yeah, but because
I
it is
bought
free to
TF2
play now,
retail for $50.
Whoa.
Yeah.
But this is probably the thing where TF2 is still safe. It's free to play. And that is why it has a sort of an upper edge, because I really don't want to
get it.
I don't really want to insult people for this, but some of the younger audience who do not have a reliable income may not be able to play Overwatch because it costs money.
Some
No, I
people
think
will
that's
be
fair.
happy about that.
Yeah,
I think that's very fair.
It also.
But I mean, also I can't buy it because I have to like buy other stuff. I'm an adult.
I got my Origins edition already.
I do as well. I mean, I like Overwatch because it feels refreshing. It is a refreshing take on things that TF2 does. And yeah, I think that is the best way to describe it. It is just a refreshing take on a class shooter that I haven't seen before, and I'm interested in playing it. I am not calling it a ripoff, nor will I ever.
You put the words in my mouth with that. In saying that when I first started playing Overwatch, there was a thrill of, I guess, rediscovery that I had for TF2. TF2 is what it is now. It's what I do. I trade. I talk in communities. You know, I play. I pub. Whatever. And it's not stale. I would say I get enjoyment out of that. But it was definitely like a new sense of. I don't want to say nirvana, but it was a sense of, I guess, discovery doing Overwatch. It felt like I was rediscovering TF2 all over again.
Which is, I think, why when the hype dies of Overwatch, people may or may not return to TF2, or they will stick with Overwatch. It's just that the hype is here. It's new. It's refreshing. If people want to discover, people want to play. That simply needs to sort of die out. It needs to calm down. And I think when the whole hype is settled, people will make their own choice. But for now, it's just new, man. Let people play the new game.
Another thing I just realized is that Overwatch doesn't have trading. That's a big staple of TF2.
To be honest, I want to keep it this way. It's probably
I'm not saying that
it's probably undeniable that it eventually is sort of gonna happen, with Blizzard kind of cashing in on, oh, you can now buy those loot crates you get every level, and this one is some kind of super elite grade crate, which you can unbox for, I don't know, 10% extra chance at a legendary skin.
More than likely, you won't have to buy a key. You just have to buy the crate.
Yeah, and it'll just unbox normally. Which...
Correct.
I am not sure if I'm gonna like that. I mean, it is just cosmetics
fair,
and just extras.
To be fair, they're launching with cosmetics. They're launching with cosmetics, and like a fair few for each one. Whereas TF2 started out with not even weapons. It just, you know, stock standard, no hats, no extra weapons. At least Overwatch has that ability to, I guess, give that little bit of customization, which is always nice to me. I'm a big dude for like, I'm huge on customization in games. It's like a big thing that like attracts me and many other people. Yeah. And seeing that in Overwatch was like, ooh, exciting.
Yeah, but then it comes down to, will people say that this is a rip-off from TF2 because it has skins that change the way your character look? Well, I gotta say no.
Absolutely not.
No. If you look
TF2
at Blizzard
ripped off
games...
CSGO with that logic.
I mean, look at other Blizzard games where they have so much skins in all of their games. So now all of a sudden, because Overwatch has skins as well, to call it a rip-off off of TF2 over that statement, I find bullshit. Absolute bullshit.
Agreed.
So yeah, these are our points on Overwatch versus TF2. I bet we can sit here on hours on end because we couldn't even talk about everything we wanted.
It's 1:46. I reckon I could stay up till 5 talking about this.
Well, there you go. So, do you have any thoughts on this? Do you have any feedback? Do you want to see more? Do you have points you want to see us discuss? I'll leave a link to these.
Fix me!
Yes, and Bastion. If you want to see more of this, or I will leave links to these guys' channel in the description below.
See ya.
Adios.